Admiral Katie Morrison stood in the command center watching the massive alien ship float above Earth. The ship was bigger than any city she had ever seen. It just appeared there 3 hours ago, without any warning. All the radar systems on Earth could not detect it coming. Katie had spent 20 years protecting Earth from threats. She never thought the threat would come from space. Her hands were steady as she reached for the communication device. The alien ship was sending a signal to Earth. The voice that came through the speakers was cold and mechanical. It spoke perfect English, which scared Katie more than she wanted to admit. How long had these aliens been watching Earth? "I am Ambassador Sextar of the Zolonian Empire," the voice said. "Your species has been observed and found inferior. You have 72 hours to surrender your planet completely. If you refuse, every human will die." Katie felt her blood turn cold. She had seen wars before, but nothing like this. The alien continued speaking as if he was reading a grocery list. "Do not think about fighting us. We have destroyed 847 worlds. Your weapons are toys compared to our power. Your armies are insects compared to our forces. Surrender now, and some of you may live as workers." The communication ended. Katie stood in silence for a long moment. Around her, dozens of military officers waited for orders. They all looked scared, and Katie did not blame them. She was scared too. Katie picked up the secure phone that connected directly to President Lisa Carter. The president answered on the first ring. "I heard everything," President Carter said. "How bad is it, Katie?" Katie looked at the massive alien ship through the windows. "Very bad, Madam President. Our satellites show the ship is 3 miles long. It has technology we cannot understand. If they have more ships like this one, we have no chance with normal weapons. Get to Washington immediately," the president said. "Bring your best people. We need options." 2 hours later, Katie sat in the White House Situation Room. President Carter looked tired and worried. Defense Secretary Jack Bennett was there too, along with the best military minds in America. Everyone was talking at once about impossible plans and hopeless strategies. "We could use nuclear weapons," one general suggested. "Against what?" another officer replied. "We cannot even scan their ship properly. Their shields might stop everything. We have." Katie listened to the arguments but said nothing. She was thinking about something else, something she had hoped would never be needed. President Carter noticed Katie's silence. "Admiral Morrison, you have been quiet. What are your thoughts?" Katie took a deep breath. "Madam President, there is something you need to know. Something that has been kept secret for 15 years. The room became very quiet. Everyone looked at Katie. "In 2010, we found a crashed alien ship in the Nevada desert," Katie began. "It was not the first one. We have found 3 alien ships over the past century. Each time we studied them in secret." Defense Secretary Bennett looked shocked. "I was never told about this." "Very few people know," Katie continued. "We learned how their technology works. We learned how they travel faster than light. We learned how they make their weapons. Most importantly, we learned how to make these things ourselves." President Carter leaned forward. "Are you telling me we have alien technology?" "Yes, Madam President. For 15 years, the best scientists in the world have been working on a secret project. We call it Phantom Protocol. We have been preparing for exactly this day." Katie stood up and walked to the large screen on the wall. She entered a code into her tablet. Images appeared on the screen that made everyone gasp. The images showed ships unlike anything the people in the room had ever seen. These ships were completely black and seemed to absorb all light around them. They looked like holes in space itself. "We have built 89 ships using alien technology," Katie explained. "But we made improvements. We made them better than the original alien designs. We made them invisible to alien sensors. We made them faster and stronger than anything in space." "Where are these ships?" President Carter asked. "Hidden all over the world, under the oceans, inside mountains, buried in deserts. They have been waiting for this day." Dr. Alex Rodriguez entered the room. He was the chief scientist of Phantom Protocol. He looked nervous, but excited. "Madam President," Dr. Rodriguez said, "our ships use something we call void drive. Instead of moving through space, they move space around them. This makes them impossible to detect until they want to be seen." "How many people know about this?" the president asked. "Less than 300 people worldwide," Katie answered. "Everyone involved signed agreements to die before revealing the secret. We could not risk the aliens learning about our preparations." Defense Secretary Bennett looked confused. "Why was I not told?" "Because," Katie said, "we needed people to react naturally to an alien invasion. If everyone knew about our secret fleet, the aliens might notice we were not scared enough. They had to believe we were helpless." President Carter stood up and walked to the window. She could see the alien ship in the distance, blocking out part of the sky. "How long do we have?" she asked. 70 hours now," Katie replied. "But we do not need to wait. Our ships can be ready in 6 hours. What are our chances?" Dr. Rodriguez smiled for the first time that day. "Madam President, the aliens think they are hunting sheep. They do not know the sheep have been building wolf packs for 15 years. President Carter turned to face the room. "Admiral Morrison, I hereby authorize Phantom Protocol. Wake up our ships." Katie saluted. "Yes, Madam President. It is time to show these aliens what humans do when someone threatens Earth." Katie left the White House and drove to a small building outside the city. The building looked like a normal office, but it hid an elevator that went down 300 feet underground. At the bottom was a command center that connected to every secret base on Earth. Katie sat down at the main control station and entered her authorization codes. Around the world, hidden bases began to wake up. Deep under the Pacific Ocean, automated systems started bringing ships online. In the Rocky Mountains, sealed doors began to open for the first time in 15 years. The aliens had given Earth 72 hours to surrender. They thought humans were weak and helpless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Earth's answer was rising from the depths, and it was painted black as space itself. War Commander Thexaler stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small blue planet grow larger on his screens. Behind him, 200 Zilonian warships moved through space like a pack of metal wolves. Each ship was bigger than anything humans had ever built. Their weapons could destroy entire cities with single shots. Thexalar had conquered 43 worlds for the Zilonian Empire. This would be number 44. The humans looked no different from dozens of other weak species he had destroyed. Their technology was primitive. Their weapons were basic. This would be easy. "Time to human surrender deadline?" he asked his bridge crew. 18 hours, War Commander, his second officer replied. "No surrender signal received." Thexalar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Good. I was hoping they would resist. It has been too long since we had a proper battle." Far below on Earth, Admiral Katie Morrison rode an elevator down into the depths of the Pacific Ocean. The elevator traveled for 10 minutes, going deeper than any human had ever built before. When the doors opened, she stepped into a massive, underground facility called Dark Harbor. Dark Harbor was carved out of the ocean floor itself. The facility was 3 miles underwater and completely hidden from any form of detection. It had taken 8 years to build using a combination of human engineering and alien technology. Commander Ryan Phillips met Katie at the elevator. He had been living at Dark Harbor for 2 years, preparing for this day. His face was serious, but his eyes showed excitement. "Admiral, all systems are green," Ryan reported. 89 ships are ready for launch. Crews have been at their stations for 6 hours. Katie nodded and walked into the main command center. The room was enormous, with screens covering every wall. Hundreds of technicians worked at control stations, each one monitoring different parts of the secret fleet. Dr. Alex Rodriguez was waiting for her at the central command station. He looked tired but happy. His life's work was finally going to be tested. "Doctor, give me a status report," Katie ordered. "All ships are powered up and ready," Dr. Rodriguez said. "The void drive systems are working perfectly. Our metamaterial, hull coating, is absorbing all electromagnetic signals. As far as any sensor can tell, our ships do not exist. Katie looked at the main screen, which showed the positions of every human ship. They were hidden all over the Earth and throughout the solar system. Some were under the ocean floor. Others were buried inside mountains. A few were disguised as asteroids floating in space. "How do our weapons compare to theirs?" Katie asked. Dr. Rodriguez smiled. "We started with their plasma technology, but we made it better. Their weapons fire in straight lines. Our weapons can bend space and curve around obstacles. Their shields stop attacks from the front. Our weapons can attack from directions they never imagined possible." Captain Nathan Cole was aboard the USS Shadow Strike, one of the first ships to leave its hiding place. The Shadow Strike was a Wraith-class destroyer, 400 meters long and painted with material that made it look like a hole in space. Nathan had been training for this battle his entire adult life. "All stations report ready," his weapons officer announced. "Void drive is online," his pilot reported. "We can be anywhere in the solar system in 30 seconds. Nathan looked at his crew. They were young and scared, but they were also angry. The aliens had threatened their families and their world. That was a mistake. "Remember," Nathan told his crew, "we are not just fighting for Earth. We are fighting to show the galaxy that humans are not victims. We are protectors." Captain Maria Santos commanded the USS Nightfall, another Wraith-class destroyer. Her ship was rising from a hidden base under Lake Superior. The water above her ship began to bubble and foam as the void drive activated. "Stealth systems engaged," her science officer reported. "We are invisible to all known forms of detection." Maria had lost her parents in a terrorist attack when she was young. She joined the military to protect innocent people. Now she was protecting the entire human race. "Set course for the alien fleet," she ordered. "Time to introduce ourselves." Back at Dark Harbor, Katie watched as her ships took their positions. The alien fleet was still 18 hours away from Earth, but that did not matter. Human ships could appear anywhere instantly using their void drives. "Admiral," Commander Phillips said, "we have a problem. The alien ships are much bigger than we expected. Some of their warships are over 5 miles long." Katie was not worried. Size did not matter in space combat. Speed and surprise mattered. Humans had both. "Dr. Rodriguez," she called, "activate the quantum communication network. I want to speak to every ship captain at the same time." Dr. Rodriguez worked at his control station. Within seconds, Katie was connected to every human ship in space. She could see the faces of captains and crews on screens around the command center. "This is Admiral Morrison," she began. "Today we face an enemy that has destroyed hundreds of worlds. They think we are weak. They think we are helpless. They are about to learn that they picked the wrong species to threaten." The faces on the screen showed determination and anger. These people had families on Earth. They had friends and loved ones who were counting on them. "Our ships are better than theirs," Katie continued. "Our weapons are smarter than theirs. Our crews are braver than theirs. But most importantly, we are fighting for our home. They are fighting for conquest. That makes all the difference." Captain Steve Turner commanded a Phantom-class cruiser called the USS Silent Thunder. His ship was twice as large as the destroyers, with weapons that could punch through any known shield. Steve had been a test pilot before joining the secret fleet. He loved flying impossible machines. "Admiral Morrison," Steve said over the communication link, "my crew is ready. We have been waiting for this fight our whole lives." Captain Amy Clark commanded another Phantom-class cruiser, the USS Dark Angel. She had been a Marine before becoming a ship captain. Amy believed in hitting hard and hitting first. "Permission to engage the enemy, Admiral?" Amy asked. Katie looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet was still far away, but human ships could reach them whenever they wanted. She thought about the alien ambassador's arrogant words. The aliens thought humans were insects. It was time to show them what insects could do when they worked together. "All ships," Katie announced, "prepare for combat operations. We launch in 1 hour. Remember, we are not just defending Earth. We are announcing to the galaxy that humanity has arrived, and we are not going anywhere." Around the world, hidden bases completed their final preparations. Ships that had been sleeping for years came fully alive. Weapon systems that had never been tested in real combat powered up for the first time. Crews that had trained in secret, prepared to reveal their existence to the universe. The aliens thought they were hunting helpless prey. They had no idea that the prey had been preparing to become predators. War Commander Thexalar stared at his sensor displays with growing confusion. His ship's advanced equipment was detecting massive gravitational disturbances throughout the solar system, but the screens showed empty space. Something very large was moving out there, but his sensors could not see what it was. Science Officer Kreltar, he called to his crew member, explain these readings. The science officer worked frantically at his station. His green skin was turning pale with worry. War Commander, our sensors detect objects as large as our battleships, but we cannot see them. The gravitational signatures are impossible to fake. Thexalar felt a chill run down his spine. In 43 planetary conquests, he had never encountered technology that could fool Zolonian sensors. These humans were supposed to be primitive. They were supposed to have basic rockets and simple weapons. Perhaps their technology is more advanced than we believed, the science officer suggested. Impossible, Thexalar snapped. We have observed this planet for decades. They barely have space travel. They fight wars with chemical explosives. There must be a malfunction in our systems. But deep inside, Thexalar was beginning to worry. The gravitational readings were getting stronger. Whatever was out there was getting closer. On Earth, millions of people in New York City looked up at the sky in terror. The alien warships were visible now, growing larger every minute. People were running through the streets, trying to find shelter. The government had told everyone to stay calm, but nobody felt calm when facing the end of the world. High above the city, War Commander Thexalar decided to end this mystery. If the humans were playing games with some kind of sensor jamming, he would show them the price of defying the Zolonian Empire. Target the largest human city, he ordered. Full plasma bombardment. Let them see what happens to planets that refuse to surrender. 20 massive plasma cannons on his flagship charged, up with deadly energy. Each blast could level a city block. 20 blasts would turn New York City into a smoking crater. Fire, Thexalar commanded. 20 streams of pure energy shot toward Earth at the speed of light. The plasma was hot enough to melt steel and powerful enough to destroy anything in its path. In 30 seconds, millions of humans would die. But the plasma beams never reached Earth. Captain Nathan Cole watched from the bridge of the USS Shadow Strike as his ship intercepted the alien attack. The Shadow Strike had materialized directly in the path of the plasma beams using its void drive. But instead of being destroyed, the ship's void shields did something the aliens had never seen before. The shields did not stop the plasma. They did not absorb it. Instead, the shields created tiny tears in space itself, sending the deadly energy thousands of miles away into empty space. The plasma simply disappeared, as if it had never existed. What just happened? Thexalar screamed at his crew. Where did our attack go? Before anyone could answer, Captain Nathan's voice came over every alien communication system in the fleet. The humans had somehow hacked into their secure networks. This is Captain Nathan Cole of the Earth Defense Force, his voice said calmly. You just fired on innocent civilians. That was a mistake. Thexalar looked at his screens in shock. Suddenly, a ship was visible directly in front of his flagship. The human vessel looked like a black knife cutting through space itself. It seemed to absorb all light around it, making it appear as a hole in reality. How did you get so close? Thexalar demanded over the communication link. We have been here the whole time, Nathan replied. You just could not see us. At Dark Harbor, Admiral Katie Morrison watched the battle begin on her command screens. She had been waiting for this moment for 15 years. Now it was time to show the aliens what humanity had learned from their own technology. All ships, she announced to her fleet, weapons free. Show them what we learned from their crashed ships. Around the alien fleet, human ships began to appear like ghosts materializing. From thin air, the USS Nightfall appeared above the alien formation. The USS Silent Thunder materialized below them. The USS Dark Angel appeared behind them. In seconds, the aliens found themselves surrounded by ships they had never seen coming. Captain Maria, Santos commanded the USS Nightfall as it revealed humanity's first surprise. Her ship's plasma cannons fired, but not in straight lines like alien weapons. The human plasma beams curved through space, bending around the alien shields and striking from impossible angles. "How are they doing that?" the alien science officer screamed. Captain Steve Turner answered that question when his ship, the USS Silent Thunder, demonstrated human improvements to alien technology. His weapons did not just fire plasma. They fired plasma that could exist in multiple dimensions at the same time, allowing the beams to appear inside enemy ships without passing through their hulls. War Commander Thexelar watched in horror as his ships began to explode around him. Human weapons were striking his vessels from directions that should not exist. His shields were useless against attacks that came from inside his own ships. "Return fire," he ordered desperately. The alien ships tried to fight back, but their weapons could not lock onto targets they could not see properly. Human ships appeared, fired, and vanished again before the aliens could respond. It was like fighting shadows that could kill. Captain Amy Clark coordinated the human attack from her cruiser, the USS Dark Angel. She had studied alien tactics for years, learning their weaknesses. Aliens always fought in flat formations like armies on a battlefield. But space was three-dimensional and humans had learned to use all three dimensions. "Attack pattern Delta," she ordered her squadron. "Hit them from above, below, and all sides at once." Human ships struck the alien fleet from every direction simultaneously. Some attacked from above the formation. Others came from below. Still, others materialized inside the formation itself, firing at point-blank range before disappearing again. The aliens had never faced an enemy that fought like this. Their disciplined formations broke apart as ship captains tried to respond to attacks coming from everywhere at once. Ships collided with each other as they turned to face threats that kept moving. Commander Ryan Phillips watched the battle from Dark Harbor with satisfaction. "Admiral," he reported to Katie, "alien casualties are mounting rapidly. Their formation is completely broken. They cannot coordinate their defenses." Katie nodded, but she was not celebrating yet. This was only the beginning. The real test would come when the aliens realized they were losing and became desperate. "Order all ships to prepare for their next move," she told Ryan. "Desperate enemies. Two stupid things. We need to be ready." War Commander Thexelar came to the same conclusion at exactly that moment. Half of his fleet was already destroyed or disabled. His remaining ships were scattered and confused. He had only one option left. "All ships," he broadcast to his fleet, "implement Protocol 7. If we cannot conquer this world, we will destroy it completely. Prepare quantum firebombs. We will turn their entire planet into burning ash." But as his ships prepared their most devastating weapons, Thexelar had no idea that Admiral Katie Morrison had been expecting exactly this decision. The real battle was just beginning, and humanity had saved their best surprises for last. In space around Earth, human ships prepared to show the Zolonian Empire why threatening an entire world was the worst mistake they had ever made. War Commander Thexelar felt rage burning in his chest as he watched his fleet fall apart around him. These humans had somehow turned his own technology against him in ways that should not be possible. But he still had one final weapon that could destroy them all. "Prepare the quantum firebombs," he ordered his remaining ships. "We may not be able to conquer this world, but we can still turn it into a dead rock floating in space." Quantum firebombs were the Zolonian Empire's most terrible weapon. Each bomb could set an entire continent on fire with flames that burned at the temperature of a star. Nothing could survive quantum fire. Even if the humans won this battle, their victory would be meaningless if their planet was destroyed. 50. Zolonian ships began charging their quantum weapons. The process took several minutes, but once the bombs were ready, nothing could stop them. Earth would burn, and every human would die screaming. At Dark Harbor, Admiral Katie Morrison watched the alien preparations with calm eyes. She had expected this moment. Desperate enemies always tried to destroy what they could not control. "Dr. Rodriguez," she called to her chief scientist, "are you detecting quantum weapon buildup?" "Yes, Admiral," Dr. Rodriguez replied. 50. Ships are charging quantum firebombs. They will be ready to fire in 4 minutes. Katie smiled. The aliens thought they still had a chance to win by destroying Earth. They had no idea what humanity's real capabilities were. Signal the USS Abyss, Katie ordered. Tell Captain Danny Roberts it is time to show our guests the true power of human technology. Captain Danny Roberts stood on the bridge of the largest ship in the human fleet. The USS Abyss was over 2 kilometers long and packed with technology that pushed the boundaries of physics itself. Danny had been chosen to command this ship because he understood 3-dimensional warfare better than anyone else alive. All hands, prepare for dimensional shift, Danny announced to his crew. We are about to show these aliens why threatening Earth was the biggest mistake in their history. The USS Abyss activated systems that no alien empire had ever imagined. Instead of just moving through space, the massive ship began to manipulate space itself. Reality twisted around the vessel as it prepared to demonstrate humanity's mastery of dimensional warfare. War Commander Thexalar was watching his quantum weapons charge when something impossible happened. Space around his flagship began to twist and bend like water. His ship's sensors screamed warnings about gravitational anomalies that should not exist. "What is happening?" he demanded. Before anyone could answer, his ship was no longer where it had been. The USS Abyss had opened a temporary rift in spacetime and moved the alien flagship to a completely different part of the solar system. Thexalar found himself floating alone near Jupiter, thousands of miles away from his fleet. "How is this possible?" he whispered. Dr. Rodriguez spoke to him over the communication link, his voice calm and educational. "Commander Thexalar, you have been studying alien technology for decades, but you only learned to copy it. Humans spent 15 years understanding the basic principles behind your science. We learned to manipulate the quantum foundations of reality itself. Around the solar system, other alien ships found themselves scattered and separated as human. Vessels opened more dimensional rifts. The carefully planned alien attack became chaos as ships that had been in formation together suddenly found themselves on opposite sides of the solar system. Captain Sarah Mitchell had been waiting for this moment for hours. She commanded a squadron of Ghost-class frigates that had been hiding in the asteroid belt, disguised as Space Orcs. While the main battle raged near Earth, Sarah's ships had been moving into position behind the alien fleet. "All Ghost Squadron ships," she announced, "begin phase attack. Show them what it means to fight an enemy that can exist in multiple dimensions." Sarah's ships activated their phase drive systems. The Ghost-class frigates began to shift in and out of normal space, becoming impossible to target or hit. They could fire their weapons while phased, but enemy weapons passed right through them. The remaining Zolonian ships tried to defend themselves, but how do you fight an enemy that can become a ghost? Human weapons struck alien ships from impossible angles, appearing inside their hulls and disappearing before return fire could be aimed. Captain Laura Price coordinated a devastating attack from 3 directions at once. Her tactical computers had analyzed alien weaknesses for years. Solonians always fought in 2 dimensions, like armies on a flat battlefield. They never expected attacks from above and below at the same time. "All ships," Laura announced, "implement Pattern Omega. Attack from every angle simultaneously." Human vessels struck the alien formation from above, below, and all sides at the same time. Some ships attacked from the front, while others appeared behind enemy vessels. The aliens had never faced 3-dimensional warfare like this before. War Commander Thexalar watched helplessly as his fleet was systematically destroyed by tactics he could not understand. These humans fought like no enemy he had ever faced. They used space itself as a weapon, turning the laws of physics into tools of war. "How did primitive humans learn to do these things?" he asked over the communication link. Admiral Katie Morrison answered him herself. "Commander, humans have one advantage you never considered. When we find technology we do not understand, we do not just copy it. We study it until we understand why it works. Then we figure out how to make it work better." The psychological impact on the Zolonian forces was devastating. These aliens had conquered 847 worlds through fear and superior technology. They had never faced an enemy that understood their own science better than they did. Zolonian ship captains began to panic. Some tried to run away, but human ships appeared in front of them using void drives. Others tried to surrender, but their commanders ordered them to keep fighting. The disciplined Zolonian fleet became a mob of frightened individuals. Captain Tony Martinez was watching the battle from his command post in the Andes Mountains. He controlled a network of void generators hidden all over Earth's surface. These generators could create pockets of altered spacetime that made normal movement impossible. Admiral Morrison, Tony reported, the aliens are preparing for a final, desperate attack. Should I activate the planetary defense grid? Katie considered the question. The planetary defense grid was humanity's ultimate protection, but using it would reveal the full extent of Earth's preparations. Once the aliens saw what humans had built, there would be no more secrets. Activate the grid, Katie decided. It is time to show the galaxy that Earth is no longer a helpless world. Lieutenant Colonel Jenny Foster managed the African Continental, a ray from her hidden base under the Sahara Desert. When Katie gave the order, Jenny activated void generators that had been waiting underground for over a decade. Continental Defense Grid online, Jenny reported. All sections ready. The surviving Zolonian ships made their final charge toward Earth, hoping to at least damage the human homeworld before they died. But as they approached the planet, they discovered that Earth itself had become a fortress. Space around Earth filled with invisible barriers that trapped alien ships in pockets of twisted time and space. Zolonian vessels found themselves unable to move forward no matter how much power they applied to their engines. They were caught like flies in a web made of physics itself. War Commander Thexelar realized with growing horror that humanity had not just built a fleet of advanced ships. They had turned their entire planet into a weapon. Earth was protected by technology that could control space and time. This is impossible, he whispered. No species can master dimensional warfare this completely. Captain Danny Roberts brought the USS Abyss close to the trapped alien flagship. The massive human ship dwarfed the Zolonian vessel, demonstrating that humanity had not just matched alien technology but surpassed it. Commander Thexelar, Danny said over the communication link, your empire demanded that Earth surrender. This is our answer. Earth does not surrender. Earth protects itself and others who cannot protect themselves. The tide of battle had turned completely. The Zolonian invasion force was destroyed or captured, but more importantly, the galaxy had just learned that humanity was no longer prey. Earth had become the hunter, and the age of human expansion was about to begin. War Commander Thexelar floated helplessly in space near Jupiter, watching his invasion fleet die through his ship's communication systems. His flagship was trapped in a pocket of twisted spacetime, unable to move or escape. For the first time, in his long military career, he felt true fear. The humans had not just defeated his fleet. They had captured most of it intact using weapons that controlled space and time itself. Thexelar had conquered 43 worlds for the Zolonian Empire, but he had never seen technology like this. How is this possible? He whispered to himself. Admiral Katie Morrison answered him over the communication link. Her voice was calm but firm. Commander, your empire has spent thousands of years using technology without understanding it. Humans spent 15 years learning why your technology works. Then we made it better. Near Earth, the surviving Zolonian ships found themselves completely trapped. The planetary defense grid held them motionless while human boarding parties prepared to take control of the alien vessels. Captain Nathan Cole led one of these boarding teams aboard the USS Shadow Strike. Remember, Nathan told his soldiers, we want prisoners, not bodies. We need to learn about their empire and their technology. Nathan's soldiers wore personal void suits that allowed them to phase through solid matter. They could walk through the hulls of alien ships and appear directly on enemy bridges. The Zolonian crews had no defense against soldiers who could become ghosts. The boarding actions were swift and efficient. Human soldiers appeared inside alien ships without warning, stunning the crews with non-lethal weapons before they could resist. Within 2 hours, every surviving Zolonian ship was under human control. Commander Tony Martinez watched the final phase of the battle from his control station in the Andes Mountains. The planetary defense grid had worked perfectly, trapping the alien fleet without destroying it. Now humanity had dozens of intact alien ships to study. Admiral Morrison, Tony reported, all alien vessels are secured. We have captured over 3,000 enemy personnel and 57 ships of various classes. Katie nodded with satisfaction. The victory was complete, but now came the harder part. What should humanity do with their prisoners and their new power? President Lisa Carter arrived at Dark Harbor 6 hours after the battle ended. She traveled down in the same elevator that Katie had used, seeing the secret facility for the first time. The president looked amazed and a little overwhelmed by the technology around her. Admiral Morrison, President Carter said, I want to see the alien commander myself. Katie led the president to a secure meeting room where War Commander Thex Aller waited under heavy guard. The alien leader looked defeated and confused. He had expected to conquer Earth in a few hours. Instead, he was a prisoner on a world that had technology beyond his understanding. Commander Thex Aller, President Carter, began, I am the leader of Earth. I want to understand why your empire attacks peaceful worlds. Thex Aller looked at the human president with surprise. You did not kill me immediately. Why? Because, President Carter replied, humans believe in justice, not revenge. We want to understand your empire so we can protect other worlds from suffering the same threat. Dr. Alex Rodriguez entered the meeting room carrying a tablet computer. He had been analyzing the data from captured Zolonian ships for hours. His discoveries were disturbing. Madam President, Dr. Rodriguez said, I have been reading their historical databases. The Zolonian Empire's expansion is driven by fear. Their ancient texts speak of an enemy they call the Devourers that destroyed their original homeworld thousands of years ago. Thex Allar's eyes widened with shock. How do you know about the Devourers? That knowledge is restricted to the highest levels of our government. Your ship's computers told us everything, Dr. Rodriguez explained. Your empire conquers other worlds because you believe a larger military will protect you from this ancient enemy. You are not evil conquerors. You are refugees who became bullies. President Carter leaned forward with interest. What happened to your original world? Thex Aller was quiet for a long moment. Then he began to speak about things his empire had kept secret for millennia. 3,000 years ago, something came from deep space. We called them the Devourers because they consumed entire star systems, turning everything into raw materials for their ships. They destroyed our homeworld and most of our people. Where are they now? Katie asked. We do not know, Thex Aller admitted. They disappeared after destroying hundreds of our worlds. Our empire has been expanding ever since, preparing for their return. We believed that only a vast military could protect us. President Carter exchanged glances with Katie and Dr. Rodriguez. This changed everything. The Zolonian Empire was not just a group of conquerors. They were a traumatized species trying to survive. Commander, President Carter said, what if I told you that Earth could help protect your people without enslaving other worlds? Thex Aller looked confused. What do you mean? Dr. Rodriguez activated his tablet, showing holographic displays of human technology. Our dimensional warfare capabilities could protect entire star systems from any threat. We could share this technology with your empire in exchange for peace and cooperation. Why would you help us after we attacked you? Thex Aller asked. Admiral Katie Morrison answered that question. Because we learned something from studying your history. The galaxy is full of threats worse than your empire. Humans believe in protecting the innocent, whether they are human or alien. Captain Danny Roberts was preparing the USS Abyss for its first interstellar mission when he received new orders from Admiral Morrison. Instead of leading an attack on Zolonian worlds, he would be leading a diplomatic mission offering alliance and protection. All hands, Danny announced to his crew. Prepare for jump to hyperspace. We are about to show the galaxy that Earth is open for business, but not the kind of business they expect. President Carter stood up and walked to the large window that showed the captured alien fleet. Dozens of Zolonian ships floated in Earth's orbital space, their crews now working alongside human technicians to understand each other's technology. Commander Thex Aller, she said, I'm going to make you an offer. Your empire can continue conquering worlds and eventually face the same fate as all aggressive civilizations. Or you can become Earth's first ally in building a defensive network that protects everyone. Thexalar considered the offer carefully. His empire had been fighting and conquering for thousands of years, and it had only made them more enemies. Perhaps these humans had a better way. What would you want in return? For your protection, he asked. Information about the galaxy, Katie replied. Knowledge about other threats, cooperation in defending innocent worlds, and a promise to stop conquering planets. My government will never agree to stop expanding, Thexalar said. Then we will. Make them a better offer, President Carter replied with a smile. We will give them something more valuable than conquest. We will give them security. 3 days later, the USS Abyss led a combined fleet of human and captured Zolonian ships toward the edge of the solar system. The massive formation was visible from Earth, a symbol of humanity's new role in galactic affairs. Captain Sam Davis commanded one of the escort ships, the USS Thunder Bay. He had volunteered for humanity's first interstellar diplomatic mission because he believed in President Carter's vision of a protected galaxy. Admiral Morrison, Sam reported over the communication link, the fleet is ready for jump to hyperspace. All ships report ready for diplomatic contact with the Zolonian government. Katie watched from Dark Harbor as humanity's first interstellar fleet prepared to leave the solar system. The ships carried a message that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. War Commander Thexalar had already sent his own message to the Zolonian Empire. Instead of reporting a glorious conquest, he had to explain how a primitive world had defeated and captured his entire fleet using technology that should not exist. But more importantly, he carried an offer of alliance from a species that had turned their planetary defense into a tool of galactic protection. Earth was announcing that the age of conquest was over. The age of protection had begun. As the combined fleet disappeared into hyperspace, people all over Earth looked up at the stars with new hope. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and more importantly, they were no longer helpless. The Zolonian Empire had demanded Earth's surrender. The Black Fleet had been humanity's answer, but Earth's real answer was even more powerful than advanced weapons. Earth's answer was a promise that no world would ever again have to choose between submission and destruction. The galaxy was about to learn that when humans said they would protect the innocent, they meant everyone. And humanity had the technology to keep that promise no matter how many enemies tried to stop them. The age of human expansion had begun, but it was expansion of protection, not conquest. Earth had become the shield that would defend the galaxy. From any threat, whether ancient devourers or future tyrants, the universe would never be the same.